Right now, your roof is cooking you alive. Not slowly, not gently. On a summer afternoon, the surface of a standard American asphalt roof reaches 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Your attic reaches 140 to 160 degrees. And every one of those degrees pushes straight down through your ceiling, through your walls, and into every room where your family is trying to stay cool. Your air conditioner has been running for hours. Your energy bill is climbing. And no matter how low you set the thermostat, your house never actually feels cool. That is not a problem with your AC unit. That is not a problem with your insulation. That is what happens when 97% of the solution has been kept off your roof for 50 years by an industry that collects $32 billion a year from your cooling bill. The fix costs $4. It weighs almost nothing. It reflects 97% of the heat before it ever enters your home. And it was developed by NASA over 50 years ago, before the insulation industry spent decades making sure you never installed it. This video shows you exactly what it is, how it works, why it disappeared, and how to put it on your roof this weekend, without a contractor, without a permit, without asking permission from anyone. Before I show you how this works, I want you to understand one number. On a summer afternoon in Texas, in Arizona, in Georgia, in Florida, the temperature outside is 95 degrees. Your attic at that same moment is 150 degrees. That is a 55-degree difference between the outside air and the air sitting directly above your ceiling. That heat radiates downward through every inch of your ceiling into your living room, your bedrooms, your kitchen, all day, every summer, for as long as you own that house. Your air conditioner then spends hours removing that heat. The average American family pays $170 every single month on cooling alone. Over 20 years, that is $40,000 paid to the same utility company every summer, without fail. And here is the part that will stay with you. A $4 sheet of aluminum foil installed in your attic in a single afternoon reduces attic temperatures by 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Cooling costs drop by up to 46%. The Department of Energy confirmed it. Oak Ridge National Laboratory confirmed it. NASA confirmed it. The material costs $4. The industry that profits from your cooling bill spent 50 years making sure you never found out. Here is the science. And it is simpler than anything your utility company wants you to understand. There are 3 ways heat moves. The first is conduction. Heat moving through solid material by direct contact. When you touch a hot pan, that is conduction. The second is convection. Heat moving through air. When hot air rises from your stove, that is convection. The third is radiation. Heat moving as invisible waves through space. No material needed, no air needed. The same way the sun heats your skin from 93 million miles away, through the vacuum of space, with nothing in between. Your standard attic insulation, fiberglass, cellulose, foam, stops conduction. It slows convection. But against radiant heat, it does almost nothing. Radiant heat passes straight through your insulation the same way sunlight passes through a window. That is why your attic reaches 150 degrees even when you have 12 inches of fiberglass up there. The insulation is not stopping the right type of heat. A radiant barrier works on a completely different principle. It is a thin sheet of aluminum with an emissivity value of 0.03. That number means it emits, or passes through, only 3% of the radiant heat that strikes it. The other 97% is reflected back up and away from your home. 97%. Stopped. By a $4 sheet of foil. NASA did not invent this material for your attic. They invented it for something far more extreme. The year is 1955. Engineers at Langley Research Center are designing the Echo satellite, a 10-story reflective balloon that will orbit Earth and bounce radio, voice, and television signals from one side of the planet to the other. They need a material that is thin, lightweight, and capable of reflecting signals back to the ground. They develop a process for coating polyester with vaporized aluminum particles, a material that weighs almost nothing but reflects almost everything. Echo launches in 1960. It works. The same reflective coating is then used during the Apollo program. Astronauts in space face temperatures ranging from negative 273 degrees Celsius on the dark side to positive 238 degrees Celsius on the sun side. Standard insulation would have required a 7-foot thick layer on every spacesuit. Instead, NASA wraps the suits in this thin, aluminum-coated film. The reflective surface blocks more than 95% of radiant heat from reaching the astronaut inside. It kept them alive. After Apollo, the technology entered the public domain, available to anyone, free to use. NASA published the research. Architects and engineers recognized it. Builders started installing it in homes across America. And then, the industry that had spent decades selling you fiberglass decided it had seen enough. In 1945, a man named Alexander Schwartz developed the first commercially produced radiant barrier for American homes. He called it infra-insulation. He sold it through newspaper advertisements, showing ordinary women installing it themselves with a staple gun. Architects adopted it, Builders recommended it. By the early 1960s, millions of square feet had been installed across America. Then a ruling came from the Federal Trade Commission, driven by lobbying pressure from established insulation manufacturers who saw infra as a direct threat to their products. The ruling removed infra insulation from the market entirely. Schwartz died shortly after. His company closed in 1965. Every roll of radiant barrier insulation in America disappeared overnight. The traditional insulation companies understood exactly what had happened and exactly what it meant. Fiberglass, cellulose, and rock wool are sold by R-value, a measurement of how well a material resists conductive heat transfer. They had spent decades building every building code, every contractor certification, and every consumer education campaign around that single number. A radiant barrier does not have an R-value. It works against a completely different type of heat, by a completely different mechanism, and by a completely different, far cheaper material. So they lobbied. They funded industry campaigns that taught every American homeowner that R-value was the only number that mattered. They pushed fiberglass as the gold standard of insulation. They made sure that every hardware store conversation, every contractor recommendation, and every home improvement television show sent you back to the pink rolls, while your attic sat at 150 degrees and your cooling bill climbed higher every single summer. The American HVAC and insulation industry generates over $32 billion every year. In 2022 alone, that industry spent $47 million on political lobbying. Your cooling bill is not a utility cost. It is a tax, collected every summer by an industry that has known about this $4 solution since before your parents were born. Here is exactly what you need, and where to get it. Walk into any hardware store in America, ask for radiant barrier foil. It is a thin roll of aluminum-coated material, usually sold in the insulation aisle. One roll large enough to cover a standard attic costs between $4 and $20 depending on square footage. For a single room, under $4. You need nothing else except a staple gun you already own. Here is the installation, straight and simple. Go into your attic, find your roof rafters, the wooden beams that run from the peak of your roof down to the edges. Cut strips of the foil to length, staple the foil to the underside of those rafters, shiny side facing down toward the attic floor. Leave a small air gap, at least 1 inch, between the bottom of the foil and whatever insulation is already below it. That air gap is everything. It is what allows the foil to reflect rather than conduct. Without the air gap, the foil conducts heat instead of reflecting it. With the air gap, it bounces 97% of the radiant heat back up toward the roof and out of your home before it ever touches your ceiling. The installation takes 1 afternoon. No structural changes, no tools beyond a staple gun and a pair of scissors, no permits, no contractors, no utility company involvement, no permission required from anyone. The result? On the same day you install it, your attic temperature drops by 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Your air conditioner starts running less. Your energy bill drops the very next month. And the material does not compress over time the way fiberglass does. It does not settle. It does not lose effectiveness. It does not need to be replaced. You install it once, and it works for the lifetime of your home. A homeowner in Phoenix installed a $20 roll of radiant barrier foil in her attic in June 2021. Her cooling bill that May, $240. She spent $32 total. 2 rolls of foil and a box of staples from her local hardware store. One Saturday afternoon. Her bill in July, $141. A $99 reduction in 30 days. From $32 of aluminum foil and 4 hours on a Saturday. Within 1 month, she had recovered her investment 3 times over. By the end of that summer, she had saved more than $300. She's not modified her HVAC system. She has not replaced her roof. She has not called a contractor. She put a $4 sheet of NASA-developed aluminum between her roof and her ceiling and let 50-year-old technology do the rest. Your roof has been cooking you alive since the day you moved in. Every summer, every afternoon, while your air conditioner ran for hours and your utility company collected $170 a month from your bank account for a problem that a $4 roll of foil already solves. NASA developed this technology to keep human beings alive in the most extreme temperatures in the universe. The insulation industry spent 50 years lobbying to keep it out of your home. Oak Ridge. National Laboratory confirmed it works. The Department of Energy confirmed it works. And still, nobody put it on the evening news. Nobody mentioned it at the hardware store. Nobody installed it for you. Now you know. Drop your state in the comments right now. Tell me what your cooling bill was last summer. I will tell you exactly how many weeks before a $4 roll of foil pays for itself, down to the dollar. And if you know someone still paying $200, $300, $400 a month to cool a home that a sheet of aluminum could fix this weekend, share this video with them right now. Because what you just learned is exactly what the industry spent 50 years hoping you would never find out.